Hello and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. In this video I want to talk to you about an advanced handling manoeuvre called a Ketschker. This manoeuvre is also sometimes called a K-turn, sometimes known as a backside pass, but you'll usually hear it called a Ketschker. I do not know where the word came from. It's a weird old word. It's probably from somewhere in Europe. I don't know where it came from, but it suddenly appeared in the agility world, and this is this manoeuvre. Ketschker is similar to a pivot, and some people do without Ketschkers their whole agility career. They just have pivots. So if you remember, we talked about pivots. So when the dog is on, say I'm on this wing, my dog is on my right arm and I want them to stay on my right arm the whole way round. So I'm coming up, I turn with the dog, and then I carry on. A Ketschker is fundamentally the same, except it's what the handler does, their manoeuvring, that changes. So with a pivot, I turned with the dog. With a Ketschker, I do a manoeuvre where I turn into the dog and then back away. You say, isn't that a front cross? No. Because in a front cross, I would be doing the same footwork, but I would be picking up on a different arm. But in the Ketschker, I come into the jump and I still pick up on this arm, the arm that I started with. So just look at that footwork. So I'd be coming up to the jump, my dog would be here on my side, on my drive arm. I'd be coming up, I'd be stepping, and as I'm coming up to the jump, I'd be turning my feet all the way round, so I'm facing the reverse way that I came. In terms of my arms, there are two options. Version 1 of a Ketschker is the two-arm Ketschker. That's where you're going to do a hand change. So effectively you're going to be changing twice, because you're going to start on this arm, your drive arm, the arm nearest the dog. As you come up to the jump, you do an arm swap. Some people can think about it as like you're passing a ball from one hand to the other. You pass the ball to this hand. As the dog is going over the jump, you use that hand to guide them over, and then you return to the arm you originally started on. So we're talking about two hand passes, if you like. So it's 1, 2. Changed hands twice. The version I do is a one-arm Ketschker, where I have my dog on this arm, I send them over the jump. This arm just stays next to me, and I pick him up again. I never use this arm. These are about personal choices. The reason I don't do a two-arm Ketschker, I can't get my mechanics right, pure and simple. I couldn't do a Ketschker until I started doing the one-arm Ketschker. Some people prefer the two-arm, and it is very much dependent on how your dog learns, how you learn, which you prefer. Both end up being the same, ultimately, by what you're achieving. So you're saying, well, if you've got a pivot, why do you want this weird manoeuvre where you've got to do more footwork? It's because the Ketschker tends to be tighter. With a pivot, because of the way we push with our bodies as we're doing the pivot, and our arm goes out, dogs tend to go a little bit wider on, them. This, again, some people teach their pivots to be so tight that it doesn't matter. They don't need a Ketschker, because their dog understands that when they say that word, I come in tight. But for a lot of people, doing the Ketschker just helps to get that dog a little bit tighter, because when you're in competition at a high level, that tightness can be different between a few fractions of seconds. So when I'm coming with my Ketschker, because I'm really pushing into this jump, and because I'm already facing away from the dog as they take the jump, they know where they're going next. They know to come really tight and tuck in. There's one thing to bear in mind, and that is that in the Ketschker, you're asking your dog to go past you and behind you, and not all dogs like that. Sparrow's not keen on that. That's why with Sparrow, the two-arm was hard, because she had to look at me. If you imagine, this is my line, right? She's coming here, I turn to face that way. I'm asking her to go over with this arm, because it's the two-arm Ketschker, I've passed that hand. She's got to run past me the wrong way. She doesn't like doing that. With the one arm, because I'm using the same arm, it's a softer move for her. She prefers it. Let me get Sparrow and let me demonstrate the two different moves, and you can see the variance, and then you can think about whether you would want to do this or not. Okay, so first of all, Sparrow, I'm going to show you a pivot on this wing. Okay, ready? Loop, loop, loop. And because Sparrow is random, she went and ran around some bags that were over there. Let's try that again with you actually doing a proper, okay. Loop, loop, loop. Good girl. So you can see it was looser for her. Also bear in mind, when you're running on a course, sometimes you'll be doing stuff like this, even though you're using a different word, where the dog has got to go out that way, or they've got to do a shallow turn. So that's why we then have a Ketschker to differentiate for the dog the tightness of the turn. So let me show you the Ketschker. Okay, loop, loop, loop. See the difference? See the difference in the tightness? And you see how I turned early so she knew where I was going? Do that once more. Again, it's a one-arm Ketschker. Loop, loop. So it's tighter for her. I'm going to show you the two-arm Ketschker, but I'm not sure if Sparrow will do it. So if I was doing a two-arm Ketschker, I'd come in, Sparrow, shh, come in, switch arms. See, she says, okay, loop, loop, loop. Good girl. So you see, I use that to drive the dog on. Personally, for me, I feel it gets a bit more muddly. There's too many arms going on. But some people prefer that to the one arm. It's all very much where you want your handling to go and what you like in your handling. Some people say with the one arm you get more flicky because you go like this. But I don't, because I've got my manoeuvre. Yeah, you're just going to keep doing it. Done. Good girl. So I hope that all makes sense to you. Good girl, Sparrow. And what a Ketschker turn is. And now you know what it is, you can decide if you ever want to do it or not. It's a good one to have in the toolbox. But as I say, some people go their whole careers without ever doing it. I hope you enjoyed this Everyday Canines video. And if you have, you might subscribe to the YouTube channel. And you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. I hope to see you all again very, very soon.